Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron. I hope you're having a great day or night in Jesus. Thank you so much for being here. We're looking today at the King James use of italics. We may get into quotation marks as well. And this is why you should read the King James. I've done many videos on this over the years. You may want to check out our past few mornings videos on this. God willing, they're coming out. We've had so many technical, mechanical difficulties with the channel. It's almost like a demonic attack. At the same time, I realize that all things work together for the good, and so there's probably a reason for it. So let's get started. Thanks for being here. Do check out our other videos on the channel. And also Biblical Archaeology Today with Steve Waldron. Thanks for everybody who supports both with your viewership and prayers. And you can give too. Please do. Use of italics. It all goes to Jesus. Amen. The KJV translators italicized words that do not appear in the original languages, but were added in order to convey the meaning of the text, that which is implied from the original languages. Most modern translations, such as the NIV, ESV, TNIV, do not indicate added words with italics. For example, Psalm 16:2 in the KJV says, "Thou art my Lord, my goodness extendeth," italics, "not to thee." In the latter part of the sentence, the original Hebrew only has the words, "my goodness," not "and to thee." The KJV translators added "extendeth" to convey the meaning of the sentence, and they indicated the addition by the use of italics. So one reason to use the King James is their honesty. They used italics when modern translations don't, and they also gave alternate readings on very difficult passages that it could have been in the margin. That's one reason people like, is it the Westminster from Trinitarian Bible Society? Schuyler used to do a Westminster. And maybe there's some other ones too, because they have, I think there's maybe a Nelson one now, but in some Cambridge, that have all the alternate readings from the King James. 1611, and you can just buy a 1611 King James with all the printer's mistakes and everything in there, like in Exodus 14:34, something's duplicated or something. The notes to the Oxford Annotated Bible, NRSV, say that the Hebrew is uncertain in Psalm 16:2. Thus, Bible versions do not translate this verse in the same way. However, most modern translations do not use italics to notify the reader concerning words added by the translators. The NASB and the NKJV also use italics to indicate added words. And it lets you see, like in 1 Corinthians 7, when the NKJV adds italics when they shouldn't, when it says it's better to marry than to burn, and instead of like leaving the possibility means in hell, means in lust, but anyhow. Now also, I found this fascinating, and this is one of the only discussions really I've ever read, and maybe I haven't just forgotten it because I've read a lot of stuff that I've forgotten over the years. No quotation marks, and it's actually got something on here, like an entire article on quotation marks. So quotation marks identify spoken statements. I remember one time when I was working at Berean Christian Stores in the Bible department, we had an English teacher come in and said, "I've been told to read English. I need to read the King James Version of the Bible." So she brought the Bible back and said, all the orthography is missing in here, such as quotation marks and things. Well, I was like, till 1755, who was it? Adams Dictionary. That's not Samuel Adams. Who is it? Somebody wrote a great dictionary. I've done reviews here on it. I've got replicas of it. It's like the precursor to the Webster. And that's when English kind of became unified, because they were trying to differentiate between colonial English and British English. So the KJV does not enclose any words in quotation marks. Why is this a good thing, one might ask? The KJV does not use quotation marks because the original Hebrew and Greek does not use quotation marks. Wow. I think that's phenomenal. There are many passages where translators must guess as to whether a statement is spoken by the narrator or the character. Sometimes John 3 is very classic on that, by the way. But there's other instances. Sometimes the placement of quotation marks are misleading, or at the very least robs the reader of another valid interpretation of the text. So it says, please refer to the page above on that subject. So let's go back to that page just really quick. It goes into question marks or editorial guesses. It gives some examples of that. Job 32:15-17, John 3:31, John 3:16, Luke 4:14-10, Acts 19:5, the Song of Solomon. There's actually like another article it refers to is should the KJV indicate the speakers in the Song of Solomon? Now, I will tell you this. If you read the Song of Solomon right, you can figure out the speakers, especially understanding thee, thou, thine, ye, you, your distinctions from the King James. Quotation marks give the false idea that authors quoted word for word, such as Matthew 2:23. Goes into some examples of NIV 1984, the TNIV of 2005, the NIV of 2010. Gives many other. Then the conclusion is the KJV does not have quotation marks, and this to me is just the biggest thing, because the Hebrew and Greek does not have quotation marks. Because man, they not only had to make some editorial guesses. I mean, like in Koine Greek, every word just ran together, and you're talking about making some subjective understandings there. So that's why. Another great reason to read the King James Version of the Bible, no quotation marks. God bless you. Thanks for being here. We'll talk with you later. Bye-bye.